Hello, everybody. Welcome back to One Leeds. Welcome back to your match review. And we're going to get into the decisive chat today. That is going to be, are we going to have Jesse Marsh in charge at Leeds United tomorrow? It might not be that. It might not be. This might be just essentially just a little bit of a smoke screen at the minute. It might be absolutely fine. But I think the reason I wanted to title this video that is because in the chat for the watch along, there was a hell of a lot of people saying that. I'm having my phone blow up with people messaging me saying the exact same thing. I'm hearing Leeds United fans at the King Power all chanting the same thing. Twitter is rife with it. So that's why I think the title of this video has to be, that question, because this was a massive game, everyone. It was a huge game for Leeds United. For me, we had to come away with a win. Minimum, we come away with a point, and I still wouldn't have been happy with that just because of the predicament Leeds are in at the minute, not winning since August. But that was horrific. That was really, really slow, painful, abject, and just dross. No width, obviously. Narrow, but narrow to the point of no options, and then going back continuously. Being very, very easy to play against. I mentioned midweek about consistency. I said, if we are able to be consistent, we will be successful with this system. The problem is with this Red Bull system, the problem is with how Leeds are coached and are playing at the minute, there is no other way but plan A. And plan A is to play narrow, compact, and through the middle. The problem is teams in the Premier League are intelligent. Managers, staff, analysts, statisticians, the whole staffing departments at Premier League sides are the best in the world. So they can figure this out. They'll go back and watch the tapes of Leeds United against Palace, Southampton, teams like that, Brighton, Brentford, and they'll know that if you beat the press, if you knock it into the channels, if you knock it over Tyler Adams and Mark Rocker, you beat Leeds' entire unit, Leeds' entire pressing system. The systematic thing goes out the window. And you saw that with the 2 goals. Leicester pressed extremely high on Mark Rocker and Diego Llorente. They couldn't go anywhere into the middle because it was congested. It was compact. Leicester had bodies in there, nullifying the fact that Leeds United were able to, do things in and around there. And that's what the plan is for Leeds United, to do things there. And they nullified that. They made that congested, obviously. Rocker couldn't go anywhere, tried to turn. Then he couldn't go anywhere out wide either because Leeds don't play with width. He gets caught on the ball. There then through a couple of passes. And then the second goal was just so easy. Leeds United missed the chances. We do. We're toothless going forward. We're pathetic going forward. There's so many words that you can attach to Leeds United in terms of an attacking capacity that are negative at the minute. We are woeful. It is the worst I've seen Leeds United going forward in many years. It looks League One going forward. It's abysmal. And you know what? It's extremely difficult for me to blame Jesse Marsh for some of the individual errors. But when you're looking at Mark Rocker on the ball, and I'm blaming Mark Rocker, by the way, I thought he had a terrible game today. But for that first goal, he's looking for options. He slips a little bit, but there are no options because all we are is compact and narrow. It's his fault that we got robbed. It's his fault for the goal. But he's got no options. Now, we are relying on Patrick Bamford. Some Leeds fans genuinely believe Patrick Bamford is Harry Kane. He's not. And there are questions not only of getting a profile of striker that can help Patrick Bamford and fit that mould, which is it's an embarrassment that the board haven't done that, an absolute embarrassment that they've not done it, and they've been negligent once again. We spoke about this all last season, didn't we? We spoke about it all last season, and they're negligent once again. But it's actually, do you look at replacing Patrick Bamford, everyone? Because is he going to get back to that best? Is it going to be rusting us all the time? Is it going to be being quite slow in transition? Is it setbacks upon setback upon setback with injuries? We don't know. We're going to have to wait until the season progresses, but I'm not for one saying he should be replaced, but there's definitely a question there 100% if we are to evolve as a football club. And there's many questions around so many Leeds United players. Why are they still playing for us? And I'm not going to name names, but you know those names. Why are certain players still in 2022 playing for Leeds United? It's pure negligence from the board not to help Jesse. Jesse was talking about a striker. He was talking about a striker in the summer window. And when your manager needs a striker, he's talking about competition. You don't back him. You talk about Charles de Ketelaere for the entire month, and then you have a smoke screen at the end that we're going for Cody Gakpo. We were never in for Cody Gakpo. Was Cody Gakpo ever waiting for a jet? Because Cody Gakpo was earlier on this week talking about how he'd had multiple conversations with Ten Hag and Manchester United and was upset the move didn't unfold. You know, why are we not going for players in and around our position? Why are we targeting players that are Champions League players, that are elite players? When you look at the position what Leeds United are in, we finished 17th last season. You know, it was remarkable that they managed to attract Sinistera. It really was, playing a Europa League final last year. I wonder what he's thinking right now. But you can't do that throughout the squad because players aren't going to move. You know, Charles de Ketelaere was never interested in coming to Leeds ever, especially when AC Milan were there. You know, we did the same with Matthias Cunha, Rodrigo de Paul. Where are we shopping? Where are we shopping? We're shopping at Waitrose when we've got an Aldi setup. It's so disappointing. So disappointing. And it was a tragic performance tonight. The stats are showing up. Leeds had 13 shots, 1 on target. And for me, cut through by an average Leicester side. Harvey Barnes, once again. I mean, it's just becoming a running joke how many times this guy scores against us and he's able to nullify Leeds. The passing off again, just horrendous on the ball. Leeds United, not good enough, not precise, not accurate. So many times in that first half where it gets to the 30th minute and it looked like the players had given up. I thought that. I don't know if you guys agree. Get it in the comment section below. Felt like they'd given up in the first half towards the end and the second half towards the end. You know, you got fans singing there throughout. And as I say, the reason I need to talk about this today, Jesse Marsh potentially being sacked in the morning, is because there is a potential now, a serious risk that this man loses his job. And there's so many problems as well with this because you've got the World Cup coming up, and that is a perfect time to be able to reset. It gives you enough time to be able to stay in the division. But guys, this is what this is. Called this out weeks ago, didn't I? You know, I'm not saying I'm right because I'm not, score lines and all this sort of stuff. I'm never great with those, but long-term projections, I think I've been pretty spot on. We were in a relegation battle from about 4 weeks ago, but fans did not want to believe it. We are in a relegation battle. Leicester City, who are bottom, who've been turgid this season. I watched them against Crystal Palace at the weekend. They had nothing. They were awful. Pretty much the exact same team that played tonight. They didn't create that much, but a bang average Leicester side was able to cut Leeds United open, and we did nothing to them. And this is a patched up Leicester. No James Maddison, no Johnny Evans, no Soyuncu, no Ricardo Pereira. So you're actually facing a problem-ridden Leicester City side, and that's the performance we put in against bottom of the league. So we've got Fulham at the weekend now, who've just beaten Aston Villa 3-0. Aston Villa aren't in great form, of course, but Villa have been all right in the last 5 matches. Not been exceptional, but they've been all right. And now the games that we had at the start of the season, Wolves and Chelsea, the games that we've won, both have sacked their managers. Context always needs to be applied to these things. We beat Wolves and we beat Chelsea. Okay, but look at the run of form. Look how bad these two teams were coming up to the game at Ellen Road in terms of results and performances and managerial problems. Thomas Tuchel, Bruno Lage, serious problems. So there are 2 wins this season. 2 managers have been sacked of those sides. What we're looking at here, we've had an incredible run now. Saying it on the watch along, if you guys didn't catch it, we're saying on the watch along, Leeds United have had probably the best start out of all of the bottom teams. We've only really faced Chelsea. We've played Arsenal at home as well in the first 10. Quarter of the season, we've played 2 top teams. 8 others have been winnable. And we sat here on that amount of points. I expected 20 points, 21 points, 22 points. We said this on the debrief. We expected all of this 22, 20, 23 points by now. So it'd give us that stopgap. It'd give us that gap going into the World Cup. And then we play the Newcastles away. Then we play the Tottenhams at home. Then we play the Man Cities and the Liverpools, which are coming up. Everybody. Woohoo! We play those teams. And even if we lost, we still had that buffer. So if we're in 8th, 9th position, whatever, because of a great start, we've had those winnable games, we'd have that buffer to then play those teams and maybe lose and we'd be okay. But we haven't got that now. There is a real possibility, Leeds United go into the World Cup in the bottom 3. We are on the same points as 18th place Wolves, who put up a fight last night against Crystal Palace, more than we did today. Let's get into a couple of your comments. Sam said we don't have the players. We knew this. Yeah, we did, mate. That's why I was consistently calling at the start of the season for 3 more extra players, but I was getting told I was greedy, I was unrealistic, I was negative, I was too critical. So I just wanted 3 more players. I wanted a left back. That's what I was calling for all summer. A striker and a central midfielder. So when Rocker and Tyler Adams were out, there was going to be a midfielder who maybe fit one of the profiles, and I was all right with Darko JB filling in, who never gets a chance, by the way. Matty's click still comes on ahead. Now let's speak about the substitutions as well. I didn't mind Jack Harrison not starting because I think Jack Harrison's been poor, and it's based on a meritocracy supposedly at Leeds United. If you perform well in matches or you don't perform well, that's how it's judged on the team and stuff. But he starts Somerville, which I don't think Somerville was too bad today. His dribbling's very good. And I think that's why it works in the transition. But his final ball is woeful. And I don't think he's ready yet. And I think that contributed to Leeds just having nothing, really. He missed another really good chance. Sinisterra had a great effort, which hit the bar. He was very, very unlucky. But the substitutions, on the 74th minute when he's chasing the game, he brings Sinisterra off and brings Gelhardt on. Now, for me, Gelhardt comes on at half-time. Rodrigo doesn't come on, Gelhardt comes on, and you actually give him a chance because you've given him no minutes this season, even though the CEO of the club has come out and said that he's the best young player in the Premier League and he's got a combined 10 minutes in the past 2 games. Fits the narrative, doesn't it? So yeah, Gelhardt doesn't come on. He then comes on with 15 minutes to go again. Expected him to perform miracles when we're 2-0 down. Great management of a young lad, not for me. Rodrigo comes on again, who made a mistake which cost us in the last game and didn't do anything in the game. And I just think sometimes it's a little bit like what you're thinking. I can understand the Jack Harrison thing. Jack comes on, but he didn't affect the game at all. And he brings Sinisterra off, who was the bright light. Sinisterra, I thought, was really good tonight at Fairs, and actually said to my brother on the stream, we weren't getting him involved enough. We were not getting Sinisterra involved in the game enough. And you do that. You saw when Cini had the ball in those little pockets, he was trying to look. But when you've got a guy up front who's barely making the runs off the back 2, Daniel Amate and FaZe, who actually looked pretty decent tonight, but making the runs off those 2 and still looking slow, you're looking at Patrick Bamford and thinking, well, at the minute, what 2 defenders is he going to come up against and be decent against and really be able to bully them and get in and around them and score goals? Because Daniel Amate is a midfielder and FaZe doesn't really start for Leicester City. So he had no impact today. He still looks rusty. I mean, it's just a joke. It's a joke. The board have been pathetic in terms of what they've done, in my opinion. And yeah, listen, we needed more than 6 players or whatever it was, 6 first-team players. We needed more than that. We needed 9. As I said, last season, it needed to be an overhaul at Leeds United. It's not been that. You're still seeing the same faces. You're still seeing the same players who've been here for 4 or 5 years, getting decent spells at Leeds United. And I'm not here to offer solutions. Believe it or not, I'm not part of the Leeds United recruitment staff. I'm not paid the big bucks to be able to figure this stuff out. I'm just a fan. You're just a fan. We can just sit here, and when we know we're paying our money to go and get the shirts, which I've gone and spent 150 quid on the other day. When Brownie's going across the country with his brother to watch Leeds United and they're getting served up that tripe, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. We deserve to have our say. So I don't care if people come on this channel and say, "Oh, you shouldn't say that." Nah. Happy clappers. I'm not bothered. I'll come on here and say exactly what I think. It is not good enough at the minute. The manager needs to be questioned. The board hugely needs to be questioned, everybody. And I know everyone's going to be talking about Jesse Marsh and the system and how tragic it is at the minute. Do not get away from the board here. Do not get away. You've got a chairman who said it's impossible for Leeds United to be in a relegation battle this season with the business we've done. You have the CEO, Angus Kinnear, coming out and saying we're the best young talent in the Premier League, and he never plays. And then you had Angus Kinnear coming out and saying that Patrick Bamford is an international number 9. And that was the justification for Leeds going into the season. We were wounded going into the season. We weren't prepared going into the season. And we are reaping what we sow. That's it. That's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so. There is nothing else to it. It really is that simple. And I get the gameplay, the structure of the side at the minute is woeful, but he hasn't been given all of the tools, in my opinion. And that's why I'm giving him a little bit of leeway. But in-game management's been horrific. In-game management's horrific. I'm just going to get into a couple of your guys' comments. Bamford finished, sadly. I think Marsh and the 4 Spanish players, Roca, Llorente, Firpo, and Rodrigo, should all get out of our club. Jesse looked shook in that post interview, stuttering. We need wins. Best talent who can't get anything in the Premier League. Wake up and smell the coffee. We've got international strikers. Lol, it's a joke, mate. It's an absolute joke. Donny Key says we've got worse, and that's the thing as well, everyone. Unfortunately, the squad caliber's got better. It's not enough. It was never enough. You need to improve every single year. That's why this season we needed about 9 players, because last season we didn't do enough. We bought Daniel James in for near on 30 million and Junior Firpo in. That was the improvements last year, okay? That was the improvements last year. So we didn't improve last year. So we stood still last year. That's why we finished 17th and barely got out of it. Thank you, Rafinha. This season, we've had to make up for last season's discrepancies. And we've still not brought in a left back. That's been a problem since Charlie Taylor left. That's been an issue. We brought in a few little bits, but we didn't bring in a striker again. So this isn't just one year. This isn't one transfer window. This is several transfer windows where they haven't addressed the problem. Now, whether or not that's to do with money, whether or not that's to do with vision, whether or not that's to do with just staggeringly bad recruitment, I don't know. I'm not within that boardroom. But something needs to be shook up there. And if they don't go out in January and invest in 2-3 players, it might even be 4 that we need, pending injuries, whatever it may be. They don't go out and do that in January. We're going one way, everybody. We are going one way. Because at the minute, it is horrific to watch. It's awful to watch. And this isn't me being negative. It's not. It's bottom of the league Leicester who've just done that to us. Danny Ward, who arguably has been the worst goalkeeper in the Premier League this season. And Leicester fans will attest to that. We didn't test him. Nah. It's not us. We won't do that. We'll just muck around with it in the central spaces and just be just terrible up top. It's auto misses auto 10 misses to 1 hit. I can't disagree with that. January will be too late. And yeah, I mean, I've said this, John, that's why it had to happen. And do you know what as well, John? When we do go out and get players as well, mate, in January, you know what the premium's going to be, don't you, mate? Because it ain't going to be 15, 20 million. They're going to see Leeds coming. So, you know, they won't buy anyone in January. It's pure arrogance. Blinky Fish says relegation form. Blinky, we're bottom, mate. We're bottom. We're bottom of the form table right now. I think Forest are now above us. And we're still, as a fan base, thinking that we're going to batter Forest. On what basis? Oh, because Forest are crap. So are we. We're just terrible. We're absolutely awful. And that, for me, is the worst game of the season. It's the worst game of the season. I mean, you know, I want to ring Brownie. I really do, but I don't want to ring him at the same time because I know he's going to go on a rant. But Brownie's at the game now. He's just messaged me saying fans have absolutely gone. Okay, that's Dave Brown. Dave Brown is on the I'll tell you what, everyone, an exclusive here. He might not pick up. I tried to ring him during the game because I wanted to hear what the fans had to say, but Brownie's having none of it. He's messaged me straight away saying fans have gone at the stadium. Apparently that they are not happy. They are not happy at all, and you could hear it through the game as well. I just want to hear what he has to say. He might. I think he's on the way out of Leicester at the minute with his bro. So yeah, you can't name 3 teams worse than us at the minute. You can't, mate. You can't. You bang on. Yeah, I think he's just. Yeah, he just messaged me saying he can't come. You can't name. You can't. You bang on. Leicester's backline today. Is one of the poorest in the league, including their GK, and we threatened them 0 times. You look at that backline, everyone. You look at that backline. Castagna, who's been out of form. Didn't even have Luke Thomas playing at left back, who I really, really rate at left back. Then you got Faze and Daniel Amati at centre back. no Johnny Evans, no Seunchu, no Ricardo Pereira, and we're putting that performance. We're dreadful, everyone. We are dreadful. I'm sorry. It's a lackluster performance. I'm seeing on Twitter apparently that the fans. You can read a lot from the away end, Phil Hay says, and the dissent has been very audible tonight. They're not having this at all chance for Bielsa now. The Bielsa thing I understand because fans are frustrated. I get it, but Bielsa has happened, and it was an incredible period. It was an incredible period of time, but it's happened, and we are where we are now. We have to evolve as a club. I said this before. I love this guy, Marcelo. Will never move from my wall, but we aren't Marcelo Bielsa FC. We are Leeds United FC, So what I'm trying to say is we do need to move on. We do need to find another man to be able to take this club forward. Phil Hayes just said you cannot lose like that to a team in such poor form. And quite honestly, if Leicester, Forest, Wolves are in trouble, then so are Leeds. There's no hiding from it. And this is what I was saying. So yeah, it's unfortunately where we are, everyone. It really is. There's nearly 1,400 of you in the building. Please make sure that you smash a like. I really appreciate it. Just so it ranks up if you want your friends and all this sort of stuff to read this. Jay says you're boring and love the sound of your own voice, and you're still here, mate. So chin up. What's going on in your life? Who wants to come and join us in Jan Con? That's the issue. What caliber of player? We need a survival manager who can shore things up at the back and try this season. Yeah, 100%, mate. I can't disagree with that. A lot of people saying Poch. I just don't think that's the thing. It's unfortunately, pal. It's one of those things where we spoke about Matis Cunha, Rodrigo de Paul, didn't we? Charles de Ketelaere, Gakpo. These people, the players that were never going to come to Leeds in a month of Sundays, right? Pochettino, why would he come to Leeds? Board. Do they have money? Do we know what's happening with the board at the minute? Are the 49ers coming in at any point? We don't know. No, I'm not sure. There's been no chat of that. There's no dialogue. We don't really know where we're going at the minute. So it's it's a tough one at the minute. It really is. But yeah, let's leave it there, everyone. There's 1,400 of you in the building. I really appreciate you smashing the like on the video. If 1,400 of you could do that, that'd be epic. Really appreciate your time. We did a watch long as well. You can check the highlights of that. I'm sure someone will be clipping it up and putting it on there. But really appreciate your support, guys. Have a good one, and just try to distract yourself from Leeds United. See you in a bit.